Good morning, everyone. And as Dora just said, we do have a quorum. So I am going to call this public session of the meeting to order. It is 8:31, Friday, September 26th. Do I have a second?
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm calling the meeting to order. Do I have a second?
Second. Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry.
That's okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes. Approval of consent agenda A, minutes from 8/22/25 meeting. Has everybody looked over that? And if so, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, it passes. Number 3, do we have anyone online? Any members online for comments? None? Okay, I can circle back around to that. Moving on to number 4, director's report. And if Paul, can I ask you if you've got anything that's pressing that you need to say before you jump out? I guess let's go to that right now. Do you?
No, on the financial stuff which Leanne and Doug will cover in more detail. I think things are progressing from the committee point of view, and secondly, I think I'll use the we have a lot of work to do in the next month or so. We meaning the staff and Doug putting the budget together, but I think we're in good shape. So that's it.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. And just so y'all know, we only have Paul for a short while. It's wedding season, which we're all getting crushed with, so he's got to take off to that. So moving back on to Doug. Sorry about the interruption. Go ahead, Doug.
Sure. All right, we don't have a ton of items for this meeting either, because we're really focused on budget. See, we've got some slides up. Can they see it online?
Not yet. Give me one second. It's behaving itself. There we go. And then.
Oh, could I add one thing real quickly?
Sure.
May I say something?
Yeah.
The plan for the new golf course was publicized this week.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody has questions about what is the club's land and what is BHA, what is BHA's land? Adam, Doug, Christine, and I met about a month ago, and so we're committed as we get through the plan to be working between the club and the BHA to make sure that everything is done appropriately and whatever, the land is. Anyway, so, people come at things from a million different directions on this island. So
Yeah.
me representing the club and Adam and Doug and Christine have had started a conversation as we get into the detail. The club and the BHA will be working together to make sure everything's cool, for lack of a better term. Okay.
Yeah, super excited about that. Thank you for bringing it up, Paul. And hopefully we can put something out too, an FYI and a compass to attach to the video. I think that was an awesome presentation. And the more ways we can help steer members to it, the better. So thank you for that.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, Doug, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, next slide. So again, we have just a few items for this meeting, given we're kind of really focused on this annual budgeting process and wrapping up the audit, which has kept us fairly busy, especially Leanne, and then we're also beginning our implementation of the new software database as well. So those are some big items, and I'll jump right into for us to be able to focus on how we work our way through this budgeting process. I took the liberty of creating a schedule, and I think I may have circulated this before, happy to do it again, but we went over this schedule with the finance committee and they seemed to bless it. Vicky also had taken a stab at it and has pieces of her concept is more high level, which I think a board level deliverable for staff is probably appropriate. So we'll work on her piece and in combination with this schedule, but this kind of walks us through where we should be, and I think we're tracking currently right about where we should be. So to date, I've met with staff and Dora, and we've met with some folks individually on the staff, given them an opportunity to have an opinion on their specific line items within their areas of expertise, putting some notes down from each one, and then we're consolidating that information to a bit of a master spreadsheet, if you will, and then Dora is wrapping up her piece, I think today, and then I'll take the rest of it next week and sort of button it up so that we can get it over to finance committee, and that gives them approximately 2 to 3 weeks to have an opinion on things and timing for the next upcoming finance committee meeting, and then that I assume would obviously go straight from there to the board, and so we'd have a board review timeframe as well. So it is progressing pretty well. That's in the blue area there, and then the orange and the green are our consultants, which we have also talked about in finance committee meeting of more than likely updating our CPA consultant contract, and we do need to renew our audit contract as well. So looking at all that for next year, and so far it's going well. So next slide. This is just a snapshot, if you will, of the in the weeds of what we're doing. So we took our forecast model, which was month by month, and I actually shrank it down for this slide. We dropped in a forecasted annual budget or actuals, if you will, for this year, alongside our budget from last year or this year, developed last year using this year. And the blue there is a column to drop in our numbers for 2026. And then importantly, there's a notes column, which a lot of associations don't do this. I like to do it, where you state your assumptions from the staff line by line as much as you can on what you were thinking with any changes to budget items. We then are able to save that so that next year you have a history to go back and kind of reference what were we thinking.
That's a good idea. That's a good practice, I think.
Yeah, I think it's helpful. And certainly if a board member wanted to pick this up, or you have a new board member, they could go back and grab this and kind of understand what the logic was. Let's see, start signing up. 80. Yep, I walked through the process on the side. Let's do the next slide. This is another component to the process that some people do or don't do. I like to do it. So I took from the old reserve study, the 2020 study, any items for 2025, put it on this document at the top, which is that blue bar, if you will. And then anything that the study updated is below that for the next 3 years, looking 3 years out. And then the process is typically you go out and site inspect all the yellow boxes where the consultant is saying, hey, you've reached the end of life on all these widgets, and try to have an opinion on that. So I'm in the process of wrapping that up. I have gone out and looked at most of these things. The yellow ED ad over on the left side are things that I dropped in addition to the reserve study that I felt like we need to take a quick peek at these things, even though they're not listed in the reserve study. And so I'll have comments to all of these. I will tell you, in looking at some of these, I was a little surprised with some of the reserve study feedback on, especially asphalt. I went out and looked at some of these asphalt areas. They look like they've been relatively done recently. So I'm not sure how we got an opinion to look at 2027 for any of those repairs.
I would bet they just use standard life of asphalt. And we talked about the finance committee. Some of these roads are never used by equipment, so golf carts really don't wear them out, I would guess.
Well, we paid them to come out and look at it, and they did. So they put eyes on it.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant that. Oh, I see what you're saying. Never mind. I thought you were talking about.
I mean, there's a formula that you're speaking to, but there's also the eyes on that we paid them to come out and sort of
Okay.
update.
Never mind. I understand. Okay.
But if they're talking about a seal coat, I guess I could understand that, versus a mill and overlay approach. So again, I've added comments to this so that this is part of the budget exercise that could go to the finance committee to say, if we drop down to the bottom of the list, these are the totals for 2026 that we feel like we ought to spend money on from the reserve bucket. These are some items that we may want to just push out further because I think they've got more life in them. Some of the signs and things we've taken pretty good care of. We're painted. I think there was some confusion, at least at the staff level, on pulling maintenance dollars out as an approach to repair these signs, kind of paint them and touch them up versus a full replacement. So we've talked about a finance, a reserve policy, if you will, in the finance committee as well. So that's something that we should probably think about is, let's just define a number, and at other communities, I've seen them pick, anything over a $2,000 or $5,000 number we consider a replacement by policy, or a percentage of the total cost of replacement is another approach. And then there's a component approach that I've seen too. For example, if you're replacing, 10 of your computers in your office space and you only have 10 of them, that would constitute a reserve, debit versus maintenance and repairs. So that's just something to think about. This gives us the ability to talk about that. Next one. CPA process has been going pretty well. They as a process, they took most of our information, and Leanne's been working very close with them, and they're using a software called SureLink to exchange documents to record the ones going back and forth between us and the assurance associate, which is his name's CJ Ashton. CJ's been working directly with Leanne to, request any additional documents as necessary, including governing documents. The auditor also reaches out directly to our bank and our IT provider to verify information as well, to run various tests as needed on the information. Myself and Leanne are then questioned at some point as well on different processes or a variety of things. And those are typically random questions, which she and I have already dealt with that. And then they'll conduct a Teams call with Leanne, and they'll run her through just random accounting or bookkeeping processes, and she never knows which one they're going to do. So they'll do that as a test mechanism as well. And currently we're at the stage where CJ has concluded his review and forwarded it on to the assurance partner, which is basically the main partner at the audit. And I think he's putting his stamp on it. I don't think we're going to see anything really major come out of that process. We do have one contract that we just could not find, and that might be something that gets tagged by them. Having come in and tried to figure out contracts, they are extremely hard to find here. So I don't know what that process has been in the past, but certainly with new software, we're going to have it loaded into any of the contracts loaded into new software along with their insurance waivers. So we've got a sort of a reminder of when those insurance clauses are running out, or when the contracts are running out. So we'll address that. Is that my last slide?
Your last one.
And then we've got Vanaga, which is currently kicked off and underway, and I'll just let Dora kind of speak to that one.
Yeah, so we've gone ahead and started with Vanica. We signed over with them, and we had our first, I've had several kickoff calls with them as our core team. We, Doug, Leanne, and myself, we've had our kickoff call on a Wednesday, and they're excited to get started. We already have a head start with our bank basically being implemented into the program. They went over the training sessions that we're going to start getting all of the staff ready for. And by the time we go live date on December 1st, the staff should be very comfortable with each section that they are working on. And we should have everything up and running.
And I think that concludes our update for this meeting. I think the Vanica process is going well. And I think, ideally we should hit that December date for the majority of the tasks that we want. After that December date, we have a secondary list of, which I believe was mostly ARC and compliance and those sorts of things.
It's the additional items that we could be using through Enumerate, but Enumerate made it so hard to use, we didn't utilize it. But all of the core things that we use Enumerate for right now will go live the same day that Enumerate tends to step back, which will make it seamless for the members, the homeowners, and, even
How are the team members taking to it? Is there been?
Well, they're all very excited. Enumerate's been hard on every team member in every section. So, I mean, as painful as a transition like this is, I think I can confidently say everyone in this building is excited to go through that pain just to get to something better. And they have a great training team. Each one of us at the end of next week will have access to what's called Vantica U. And it has all kinds of videos and documents that we can look over, along with being scheduled for live webinars where we can go on with an actual person and say, hey, this is something I'm really interested in, and the video didn't quite cover what I needed. Here's some questions. So they're going to hold our hands really well through.
No, that's great. This is new for you guys, and I think it's amazing. So kudos to you guys for finding that.
It's great news.
So one last comment, and I know we've got a little bit of more detail on executive, but I know that we're doing a pretty good job on our inspections and our compliance issues. I know we had some, obviously I won't go into specifics on that, but we did have some examples out there, some clear cutting and some other issues that we were concerned about. We responded to those things, and I think in executive, given we want to protect that identity of those folks as much as possible.
Right.
We'll go into a little more detail on what has been done, and I think they have made some good improvements in regards to responding to, our ability to have a discussion with them and explain what not to do. So
Good. Okay. All right. Excellent. Do we need to call Leanne in for the financials?
Leanne is already here. I just got to pull her stuff up for her. Where do you want to start, Leanne?
Hey, Leanne.
Good morning.
Morning.
The aging report, Dora, would be great. Sorry, got a frog in my throat.
Pull that up for everybody else. Oh, I love this thing. It never has a good spot to live.
Okay, you can see where we are in August, as of August, but I'm going to go ahead and just tell you that we sent out 17 intent to lien letters, and I now have 15 of them have paid, and one of them is in the mail. So we maybe only have one person that we hadn't heard from. So I'm very pleased with that. So those percentages will be even better next. What?
Well done.
Yeah.
I wish I could beg the last one to do something. I'm so excited. I wanted to get them all this time. Dora is going to send out something, I think via email, from the lawyer, and it's things we can do to the last three that we've already leaned. And she, it's two processes that we can take. I've told her my suggestion, and she's going to give it to you, let you look over it and see what you guys think. And so we should be able to go after those last three and get all this cleared up, I hope. So, our overall assessments are at 98%, and I think that's pretty great. So, the other two, the Surfman's Walk, Sumners, and all those, they have their next payment dates is, I think, November 1st or something. So you'll see those go up too. Okay, Dora, the summary sheet. Okay, I want to read this first one. While certain budget categories are over projection, others are under, resulting in us remaining on track to meet the forecasted budget of 2025. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. So the income, the rental of the AC by non-members has is above projected, but no revenue this month. The ARC fees are running close to projected, and this month we had $17,250 we collected. Resale transfer fees are running below projected, although that's wild because we seem like everybody's trading properties these days, but this month we collected $2,250. Island report is running below projected. We're still in an experimental stage with that and working on that. The operating expenses, the boat park, I just say it's an insufficient budget. I believe that we signed on with the I don't know. It's just the budget's just too low. I looked over everything. I don't see anything wrong. I think that it just was a miss. The wildlife overlook, it's also too low, but I believe that we signed on with the irrigation system to fix a problem. And I don't think that was included in the budget. I think that happened after the budget was created. So I think that's the problem there. I talked to the finance committee about the legal fees are higher on one account, and then they're under budget. I talked to them about maybe just putting all the legal fees in one category. I really don't know if we need all those other categories or not. The reserves, we needed to pay the other half of the aeration system. So that's what we did last month from there. And then you have all our all our bank accounts and CDs and all that. You have their balances. Let me see something. One of them, I believe it might show up on the budget comparison, not sure, but we closed an account and moved, believe, Doug, which account was it that had two accounts? I'm blank right now.
Surfman's, I believe.
Surfman's
said
Walk.
two.
And we
Well,
moved it. Yeah, Surfman Walk Reserve. For some reason, we had two accounts, and we put them together. So we're closing one of those accounts. It's nothing big there, but just wanted you to know that we closed one. Other than that, I don't have anything unless you guys got questions.
Hey, Steve, could you speak to Leanne when it came to the legal fees, and what were you wondering about that? And Steve, is it a big deal to combine all of them?
Oh, it wasn't a question that I had asked Leanne. I think I'd want some more information to be able to understand where those two buckets are. So Leanne, can you?
Dora, can you go to the, I believe it's the budget comparison? Maybe. And down the very last column in the very last columns in the expenses,
Yes, I just thought he could answer to it.
Okay, yeah, the legal fees, you'll see 8620 is legal fees master. And
Mhm.
under that is 8650 is attorney collection fees, which is what they do with this liens and all this kind of stuff. I believe we have ARC legal fees somewhere else, and I thought we had an account that said legal fees special or something like that. I just didn't know if we needed all those accounts, if we just couldn't put them all under legal. And that's just, it's not a huge deal.
I actually think probably just for your own management purposes, to have different accounts, but roll them up into one legal account. I think it's something you might want to look back on, is how much money you spent on ARC legal fees versus liens in the past. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Paul, I think that makes absolute sense. I think we, you know, in as much as you want to have a master line item for legal, at least we'll know what the spend is. But if we look at the lien cost, that should definitely be carved out as its own budget line, because that's almost maybe it's not even almost, that's really a management control item, in the sense that we lose money on each time we send out a lien letter. It's just money flushed down the drain. So our goal should be to build in business processes that are going to prevent us from having to send lien letters out, or minimize the number of those that are sent out. I know that, you know, previously they were just, you know, routine. That was, you know, led to our discussion of, hey, is someone actually calling these owners before we send it out? And I think that's reduced them. But the goal should be to get those down ideally to zero. And so that's something that's more controllable through business process.
Something I had considered is maybe the board coming together and deciding, if I have to send out a lien letters, can I, you know, do we add a fee to their account then for the cost of that? That's one thing. And then if I have to file a lien, what do I put for the attorney fee? Go ahead and put those on there, because people will sneak in and pay online, and so then we don't recoup any of the attorney fees or anything.
That's something that, you know, certainly to discuss further. When I looked into it last year, there are North Carolina statutes that govern that, and that essentially state to some effect that if the lien is, or if the amount is paid, then in response to a lien letter, then in effect, we can't charge the attorney fees associated with that. Now, I'm happy to be mistaken on that, but there was but the last time I looked, and it was several months ago, that was the impression that I had. So
that's interesting, because I know that Andy has given me fees before that I could put on there, and so I don't know. Maybe
they're not collectible if the lien is paid within a certain amount of time. So
interesting.
each of those just result in just absolute waste of money for us.
Okay, we got to come up with something. Or they, a lot of, like I said, I have what I call frequent flyers that they actually don't pay till I send that intent to lien letter.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I would suggest that we could build in a process where, you know, it's a kind of progressive system where, you know, you send a letter, you know, you make a phone call, you send a letter, and then it's not, and then we could, as an association, come up with.
Good morning.
There is a ton of feedback in the background.
I think it's Paul's background.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
You guys-
I'm sorry about that. I'm going to need to hop. I can be reached. So something that we need, sure you don't need my insight, But if you need a vote or something, feel free to call and I can hop back on. Okay? I'm sorry about that.
Sounds great. And enjoy the wedding, Paul.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Bye, Paul.
Anyway, what I think would be helpful is if the team can come up with a process to follow. Maybe we take a look at that and make sure that it's legally sound and aligns with what you guys need. But you know, to involve outside counsel and send a letter from them as an absolute last resort, because it's just money gone.
Well, I agree with that, and it is not fair to the rest of our members that the money they pay in here is being spent chasing down, you know, as Leanne's saying, frequent bad actors. And
Right.
I do think it's made a difference with us kind of looking down the list and separating and knowing some of these people. And, you know, there's nothing more shameful than getting a call from a friend saying,
Right.
pay the bill.
Well, and we could take it to the next step. We could pick a cultural shift, but I'm not uncomfortable with this from a legal standpoint. Just say, hey, you know, it's now September. You know, dues were due in January. The following property addresses, you know, and publish this in a Compass or an Island report. The following property addresses have received, you know, 8 notifications so far and still haven't paid. You know, this is a notice that if you don't pay, then we will place a lien on your property.
Ouch.
And you know, I think that the previous reticence to do any of this stuff was cultural more than anything else. Oh, we don't want to embarrass any of our neighbors. Well, your neighbors who aren't paying are actually both embarrassing themselves and disadvantaging all of the other you know, islanders through costing them money. You know,
I agree.
I'd say the same that we could, you know, look at for lot clearing. That, you know, we you know, it's a public violation. We've assessed all these individuals, and you know, and the issue continues. So you know, I think the perception is, hey, you know, you cut your lot, and you know, we charge you $100 a tree, and that's all we can do, and you know, our powers are limited. But we do have the power of the pulpit, and you know, letting it be known that hey, this was cut and that was cut, and these neighbors are going to have to pay and remediate, might go a long way towards deterring behavior and building some positive habits among the others. Just my 2 cents.
And we can add a comment that says, please call Steve Smalley with any complaints.
Oh, sure, yeah, you know, and I had a phone tree set up. You know, press 1 if you're mad about this. Press 2 if you're mad about that. That's fine.
I love it. I'll tell you what, bringing it back to, you know, the $100 a tree and have to, you know, make it right. I have no issues taking that further too, because it was like a slow virus happening along one street. When one went down, then another, and then I'm seeing yet another one that's looking kind of bad on the 17th fairway. And it's like, I think people come in, they haven't been here for a while, they see their neighbor's house and they're like, oh, I like the look of that. And then they start doing it. So it's kind of viral. And I think if we did something to make a point of, yeah, well, guess what? Your neighbor just got fined and they have to remediate, and they have to, you know, they're embarrassed now because everyone knows about it. That would be a good thing. So we can do that with these past dues. And I always look at it that it's not fair to each and every other member of the BHA that we're having to pay out their money, their hard-earned money that they, and this is not a lot of money, by the way. That's what always cracks me up, that people are not paying, and it's not a lot of money. So anyway, good point on all of that. And is there any more? Leanne, do you have more?
I do not.
Any questions for Leanne? All right, thank you, Leanne. Have a lovely day.
You too.
Steve, on to you, number 6, 2026 board candidates announced.
Yes, so report from the nominating committee. We have met, and the nominating committee has voted to nominate and 3 candidates to stand for election. 2 of those candidates have agreed to stand for election. I'm pending a last opportunity to opt out from the final candidate. The individual candidates who have been nominated are Bob Carter, Diane Matthews, and Christine Osborne. I'm still waiting for the final confirmation or speak now or forever hold your peace from Christine Osborne.
All right, so yeah. All right, I'm in. I am
Okay.
serious.
Well,
I'm in.
3 candidates are so nominated and will stand for election.
Great. Okay, sounds good.
And just to clarify for the record, that does not require a board vote. So that is the final action of the nominating committee.
Well, that was your gig. No vote needed. All right, so I guess these 3 people will be reached out to, and all the necessary dates and information that they need to submit everything. And I think Kim is the one that will be handling that. So, okay, sounds good. Anything else on that, Steve? All good?
I think that's good. The only thing I'd add is we probably want to get a compass out.
Yep.
And Doug, if you want to work with Kim, and then I can also discuss with her both that communication to the members, and then also the candidates have asked for a list of procedures and action items that they need to take.
Okay, can't do that.
And Kim's really good with that. On top of it, so it will be great. Okay, moving on to committee updates. I can tell you, I'll start with me. I'm covering for Betty, and this is something we kind of worked on together, although she did a lot of work with Ann Barry. If you guys remember the Smith Island Social that BHA on meeting weekend has always taken the lead on. And I remember last year when it was canceled, the club actually closed that day. There was a lot of people upset about that. And it really made us start looking at it a little closer. Plus the fact that we received a sheet of paper from the club letting us, with a breakdown of the price and letting us know how much they were charging us, which blew my mind. How we were paying this charge for hosting everybody for meeting weekend, and I didn't understand it. I think it was good that it was canceled. It gave us a year to regroup. Betty agreed with me, and she came up with Ann Barry with Education and Recreation, the newly named Community Celebration It Takes a Village. I reached out to all of the other island entities just to give them a heads up that Betty and Ann were going to be in touch with them, and gave them, pretty broad view of what it would look like, what their ideas were, and how we needed to be working together on this. This should not be at just BHA's feet. They were all open to meeting with Betty and Ann. And I went to the first meeting with David Sawyer. David loved the idea. Bob Nixon, board president, loved the idea. So they were on board. The celebration would take place at BHI still club. And little by little, Betty and Ann met with the Conservancy, the village, Old Baldy, the chapel, public safety, BHI Limited, Project Longevity, and Smith Island Trust. And all those meetings went really well. They're all on board. And there's a packet in there for everyone to read. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but yeah, just if you want to do that, I think they have done really good hard work. It's an issue I had that I spoke about. Betty took it over and she made it happen. So no more will we be taking our members' pockets for a celebration for everyone on the island on meeting weekend. It'll be a shared celebration. So kudos to her and Ann Barry, lots of good work, and I appreciate that. And that is, we'll say, for Education and Recreation's committee report, also letting you know that their potluck dinners have been going well. They're going to different places. They had a tailgate. It went really well. People enjoyed it. More people showed up to that than I've seen ever show up to a potluck. So this kind of offsite thing with themes, it's a win. So again, good hard work on Betty and Ann's part and their committee. All right, moving on to ARC. I did not go to, I never missed a meeting, had to miss this one. Doris sat in for me. And I don't know if there's anything maybe you could report on that, if anything going on with ARC.
I mean, it's kind of the same status quo as everything's been running very smoothly. Everybody had very good conversation to add to this. There's a few items that were not just a cut and dry, and the amount that the committee added to go back and forth of just very objective discussion was awesome, and that finished off smooth like they usually do.
I love it. I've not heard a bad thing at all. Derek, can you talk about your committee, ARC?
I sure can. Things are going smoothly. You've got such good people in place. Chris is doing a fantastic job. She narrows the issues and they're well thought out, handled appropriately. And it's amazing how people's opinions are now no longer involved in these decisions. So everybody's looking at the regulations. So things are going great.
Thank you, Derek. That is what I'd like to hear. I'm still hearing, even with full agendas, that they're moving along at a good, quick pace. And, just smooth. Our chairs are doing a great job, Tiffany Williams and David Ray. Constantly hearing compliments on them. And, so.
They've all been extremely responsive too. I mean, if Chris needs something or anything, they're either in the office picking up whatever samples they need, or they're on the phone, or they're emailing back within less than 12 hours. Like, they are on top of everything that they've been really helpful.
Absolutely love to hear that. So what a big turnaround. How wonderful is that?
We're also in the process, and I think Chris may have locked herself in her office today.
She did. Today's her lock day.
Today is her locked in the office day. We're in the process of putting that list together of any amendments or changes, suggested changes, improvements to the ARC docs. So we're trying to get that wrapped up and ready for the committee to review and board to review shortly. So we are in the process of doing that as well. I didn't see anything major, major discussion points, but a lot of little cleanup type stuff. We may have one or two that get some significant discussion. And I did have one owner contact me yesterday about a specific item that we're aware of, and we're putting that on the list too, that I talked to Chris about. So we're getting some feedback from residents as well, which is good. So we'll incorporate all that and have sort of a staff opinion on it, and then we'll get it in front of, I would suggest a smaller group, but we can talk more about that on the committee side. Maybe we pick, not the entire committees, but maybe chairs and maybe one or two or some volunteers to kind of go through that exercise with us.
All right. All good news there. Let's see. Steve has already spoken on nominating. Well, it is a committee, but it's in-house. Everything going well with.
Oh yeah, it's been a very smooth process. Both Madison and myself have taken on the CWS process. It's going great. I've had a lot of, I've had a lot of homeowners reach out and be like, hey, I really was thinking about doing that. Thanks to the letter, I'm gonna do it now, or just ask how the process even works. I did have one, I've only had one so far. I was kind of surprised. I did have one homeowner reach out and say, hey, I knew this was coming because, the sections, but I'm actually shocked that a lot of people don't really kind of pay attention to the sections part, but it is nice to know that if you want to know where you're at on the list, you can know what month is gonna be or month to be reviewed.
So I love that idea, and I've had a person reach out to me, and that person may have been the one that reached out to you. And people get used to this. It's a good thing. And deadlines are great. It makes you jump on top of something that you've been putting off.
It's been running very smooth, and I've had a lot of I've had a lot of good reception from it. Most people that are calling me and asking me questions they're not upset. They're just asking, hey, does this work? Hey, is this something I have to go through the ARC for? Or if I replace it like this, is it fine? So it's been good.
Awesome. All right. Steve, do you have anything with longevity? Can't even think today.
Other than a recent birthday on longevity, I don't have anything on that. I've got long-range planning.
Long-range planning. I just read longevity with Ann, and that's why I was thinking.
Yeah, that's fine. Long-range planning committee had a meeting earlier this month and sketched out some topics and items for the committee. One of those involves monitoring, and this is going to be just an ongoing task for the committee to review and monitor the transportation situation as we theoretically enter into and execute the sale of the transportation system. There's been no new information that we're aware of that's been publicly communicated about the actually executing the sale. And the other item is involving doing the initial review of land parcels, and then I think we'll need some more direction from the board and from Doug and from the Island Planning Committee about which parcels we would want to consider as priorities. And that may also align with the golf course renovation, as some of those parcels directly abut the course or are actually perhaps part of the course right now. And that's it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, awesome. And we've already covered any questions for Steve, guys?
Just a quick comment, Steve. I thought the meeting was great. It was probably one of the most informative ones I've been to. Just, especially the chair, she was extremely well informed. I thought with just history and links and, references to materials. And so I thought for me, it was a very helpful meeting just to hear some of that history. I know that you do have, I think we're down to one that has not responded. So as a committee, when committees have folks that don't respond to committee requests to attend a meeting or to fill out some of our required forms, we at some point, committee and or board may want to take action against that person and just say, hey, thank you for your service, but or your attention, if you will, but we need to move on and potentially refill that position with someone that can attend the meeting. So
yes, and I think that let's discuss that briefly in executive, because I do have and Dora, I think I'm still waiting for some information on that, but do have potentially a new committee member to nominate and then replace.
Good. All right. Well, we'll handle that in executive. Okay. Financials, we've already heard from Doug, a little bit from Paul and Leanne, so I think we're good there. Anything else we need to cover in committee updates?
Beautification.
Oh, beautification. Yes, do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because we're knee deep in that right now. Thank you.
Pretty much Operation Reforest is underway. We've gotten 3 people signed up with tree requests already. So deadline this year is the end of October.
Okay.
And the planting will be in November versus in past years, they've been planting in January and the trees have suffered from that delay. So hoping that'll change the schedule will work for the trees. And then they've got a litter sweep, the 26th of October, I believe.
26. Okay. Thank you for that. And, you know, I'll do my part talking to people out and about to remember this is what we do. It's a big deal. And, you know, we did lose a lot of trees with these recent storms, and hopefully these couple of storms we have coming are gonna stay off to the side, stay in the ocean or something. Okay, all good news there. Thank you for that. And I think you put a compass out with that. I know it was in, yeah, you did. I saw it in the compass. Okay, good. Okay,
Going out again next week.
yeah, perfect. Okay, board president's report. I really don't have a lot this month. It's been super crazy busy. We've talked about and reflected on a lot of what we've had going on. I do want to say that I'm beyond shocked, and I haven't even let you all know about this, that I'm out and about and I am hearing Salt Notes, Canopy talking about it. And they're saying, I'm going to tell you word for word what several people have said. The cover's beautiful. I opened it up and I actually turned every page, and they've never done that with the compass. So, you know, I guess I'm, you know, in love with it because people are engaging. And if that's what it takes for people to engage, to maybe call in, get their email addresses updated. I think I've never seen as many views online and social media from BHA ever. So it's a good mood, and it's beautiful. I actually put it on my coffee table. I know, it's on my coffee table. So that's a big deal. And I just think y'all are doing a great job, Kim. I just continue to be impressed with your hard work. So thank you. Thank you very much. And I think that's a big, and of course with Doug and Dora's help, I think you guys are doing a great job. I think everybody is doing a great job in this building. I find myself coming here less and less, which it could be a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, you guys are doing it.
We miss you.
Well,
You're just somebody. It'd be fun.
yeah, no, I'll still come. When I tell you this has been my busiest summer into fall that I've ever had, I am not kidding. I've never seen so many babies born, people getting married, and golf tournaments and that kind of thing. But yeah, no, I love being here. I love spending time with you guys. It's just, this is pure pleasure for me. It's not work. Anything I do is not work here. So. So that is about it for me, unless anyone has any questions. You know, Pirates Weekend was our most successful. I think I already mentioned that last go around, and it will be back next year. Trying to get more island entities to cooperate in that so I can, you know, that was my first almost knock me down moment. It's a lot of work, so help is a big deal. Money, I don't like begging for money. I'm begging for money too much. So I'm going to get more people to, you know, just automatically have to help and pay a little bit of money, but I won't go into that. I'm glad Paul touched on the club renovation for the course. If you're not a member of the club, I know you don't think it applies to you, but this is an island that has a golf club resort. And so it does matter whether you're a member or not. And it's kind of the most integral part of our island, making sure that this goes seamlessly is important to every person who owns property here, in my opinion. And I think we've got a winner for a designer. I am 100 on board with the renovation plans, and I'm talking to people about it every day. So you know, there's a great online tool. Hopefully we can get the data put that on our site as well. I just think everyone needs to have knowledge about this. It's not as costly as people think. It's a natural thing to have to redo courses over a number of years, especially on an island. We have pushed our course to the brink. Adam and his team worked tirelessly patching up irrigation and trying to manage the sand traps that are well past their life. So anyway, enough of that, but it really is a big part for many of our members to have knowledge about it because it will be put up for a vote at the club. So that is that. Any questions for me? Nope.
No,
Okay.
no questions. I would like to add and echo the positive things that that Christine has just said. I think that the staff and team is doing a fantastic job working together, learning and growing and expanding your jobs with the new sense of empowerment and cooperation, and it really shows. I mean, it's been a marked difference from when I started out at the beginning of last year, and I think the lines of communication are open. Things are running very efficiently, and I just wanted to extend my personal appreciation to each one of you for that. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sue.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, let's give ourselves not even 10 minutes, but I'm going to adjourn public. Oh, wait a minute. Do we have any members online for comments?
One member online. David, any comments?
Okay. All right. So freshen up your cup of coffee or whatever, and I'll see you all back here. Let's give it about 5 minutes. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah, I got to make a call, but I'll be back.
We'll do 10 minutes then. Okay. All right. So I call this public session at 9:28 on Friday, September 26th. Adjourned. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. I'll make sure